If today's world and events sometimes leave you feeling sad, afraid, uncertain, or angry, then reach out for comfort.
So, I think it's useful to level set here. Because when we don't make good decisions. Now, as someone who begins every day with an intelligence briefing, I know this is a dangerous time. But that's not primarily because of some looming superpower out there, and it's certainly not because of diminished American strength. In today's world, we're threatened less by evil empires and more by failing states. The Middle East is going through a transformation that will play out for a generation, rooted in conflicts that date back millennia. Economic headwinds are blowing in from a Chinese economy that is in significant transition. Even as their economy severely contracts, Russia is pouring resources in to prop up Ukraine and Syria, client states that they saw slipping away from their orbit. And the international system we built after World War II is now struggling to keep pace with this new reality. It's up to us, the United States of America, to help remake that system. And to do that well, it means that we've got to set priorities.
Like a physician, we're always on call and alert to halt the world's potential fall. However, we've been thinking a little and a lot about who we should protect and why and where and when not. Oh yeah, it's all true. We're the biggest and baddest, and not because we were always the bravest, but because we stood the test of trying times by being the smartest. Oh yeah, it's all true. We've Lean On Me led the Stand By Me nation that was undergoing a tremendous transformation, with a priority to intervene when American interests or relations were threatened by a war scene. Oh yeah, it's all true. We've contended with the country's contradictions or conflicts and conducted nuclear inspections to acquire a greater degree of peace and protection for civilization. Oh yeah, it's all true. We've been slated to sustain the synergy within an international system that's been wrecked and grown weary. Oh yeah, it's all true. We've wished for and wanted a season of strength to serve as a resource for a reality that's refashionable and new. Oh yeah, it's all true.
Priority number one is protecting the American people and going after terrorist networks. Both Al-Qaeda and now ISIL pose a direct threat to our people because in today's world, even a handful of terrorists who place no value on human life, including their own, can do a lot of damage. They use the internet to poison the minds of individuals inside our country. Their actions undermine and destabilize our allies.
Safety first is our top priority, to retain America's character that's based upon a long-standing history of strong integrity as a reality. With that in mind, we'll have to consider all threats and take them seriously as we retrain our nation's response force to proactively scan and eliminate a devastating choice, or to accurately sum up danger's source. Al-Qaeda and ISIL are networks that have again and again demonstrated evil planted in a plot that deserves to be uprooted and regulated. They've become the worst of an international wanted list and public enemy number one who deserves to be dead and drowned in a sea of red. Off with their head. They're cunning and slick like a snake, with a motive or mission that's fake, and that we must take and break. Off with their head.
We have to take them out. But as we focus on destroying ISIL, over-the-top claims that this is World War III just play into their hands. Masses of fighters on the back of pickup trucks, twisted souls plotting in apartments or garages, they pose an enormous danger to civilians. They have to be stopped. But they do not threaten our national existence. That is the story ISIL wants to tell. That's the kind of propaganda they use to recruit. We don't need to build them up to show that we're serious. And we sure don't need to push away vital allies in this fight by echoing the lie that ISIL is somehow representative of one of the world's largest religions. We just need to call them what they are, killers and fanatics who have to be rooted out, hunted down, and destroyed.
Hey Al-Qaeda. Hey ISIL. Here's a riddle and a clue. How can you hear, or how can you see clear, when you find your life flashing before your face in the rear view? Nope, we're accepting no plea to not cut and burn down a bad apple tree. Don't worry, it'll all be over soon, because we said and we meant it that we were coming like the calm before the storm and the quiet just before another violent riot. Nope, we're accepting no plea to not cut and burn down a bad apple tree. Don't worry, it'll all be over soon, because we're definitely still in motion like a moonlit motion picture after dark, with shooting stars and jaws of death like a great white shark. Nope, we're accepting no plea to not cut and burn down a bad apple tree. Don't worry, soon is now, and now you're finally experiencing the prolonged pain that feels like getting hit and dragged by an American train, because a killing fanatic's fate is to be scarred up and gutted out to reveal their soul's evil stain. Nope, we're accepting no plea to not cut and burn down a bad apple tree. There's no hesitation to send you on a well-deserved permanent vacation, because our calendar says that soon and very soon is your upcoming expiration. Just a heads up. It's going to grow into a blizzard, avalanche, hurricane, and tornado on demand that's topped off with a whole lot of sinking sand. We're telling the world that there will be no trick or treat. They'll be tracked, traced, and destroyed because they're too disgusting for a simple defeat. America is more aware of them who don't care and who want to scare. And it'll still be rare for some rage or rampage to discourage our American spirit and deter it from tarrying with what it can bear. America will still do what needs to be done and say what needs to be said to refute the propaganda that ISIL has wrote and their recruits have read.
And that's exactly what we're doing. For more than a year, America has led a coalition of more than 60 countries to cut off ISIL's financing, disrupt their plots, stop the flow of terrorist fighters, and stamp out their vicious ideology. With nearly 10,000 airstrikes, we're taking out their leadership, their oil, their training camps, their weapons. We're training, arming, and supporting forces who are steadily reclaiming territory in Iraq and Syria.
In lands, both near and far, most Muslims are not a menace to society, but we've found some maniacs who are. In lands, both near and far, the international move has been focused on crossing borders to execute ISIL cease and desist orders. In lands, both near and far, nation after nation is engaged in joining to ensure that ISIL's leadership has enough bad days filled with lead poisoning.
If this Congress is serious about winning this war and wants to send a message to our troops and the world, authorize the use of military force against ISIL. Take a vote. Take a vote. But the American people should know that with or without congressional action, ISIL will learn the same lessons as terrorists before them. If you doubt America's commitment, or mine, to see that justice is done, just ask Osama bin Laden. Ask the leader of Al-Qaeda in Yemen, who was taken out last year, or the perpetrator of the Benghazi attacks, who sits in a prison cell. When you come after Americans, we go after you. And it may take time, but we have long memories, and our reach has no limits.
In this land, we'll still need to enact more military force to enroll ISIL in an American anti-terrorism course. The same course where Bin Laden, Benghazi, and Yemen's leader learned that America's bark and vicious bite was backed by a congressional vote and voice. In this land, we'll draw the line and let you hang yourself by a rope. We double dog dare you to cross what we've created in honor, harmony, and hope, unless you're stressed and strained and hooked on dope, because you'll always find destruction at the end of that slippery slope.
Our foreign policy has to be focused on the threat from ISIL and Al-Qaeda. But it can't stop there. For even without ISIL, even without Al-Qaeda, instability will continue for decades in many parts of the world. In the Middle East, in Afghanistan and parts of Pakistan, in parts of Central America and Africa and Asia. Some of these places may become safe havens for new terrorist networks. Others will just fall victim to ethnic conflict or famine, feeding the next wave of refugees. The world will look to us to help solve these problems. And our answer needs to be more than tough talk or calls to carpet bomb civilians. That may work as a TV soundbite, but it doesn't pass muster on the world stage.
Our foreign policy must govern our intentions and actions so that there are no internal or international distractions, for we're always at our best when we control our military reactions. Understanding the extensions of humanity and those conflicts within certain cultures that has existed for centuries highlights what's even evident in the History Channel's documentaries. Our best measurable action must consist of a methodical pace that's filled with much grace and abounding love for one human race. On the world stage, there's a dynamic that requires much discussion and deliberation and doesn't involve mass interpretations that are not suitable for every occasion. The world requires the reasonable to reason with an historical record to balance what's right, wrong, and those memories within a heart song. Our relationship with humanity requires immediate attention, so that we may sever the negative influences that'll promote interruptions and interventions. On the world stage, threats are treated differently than a conflict, because of the character of the context that they'll depict. A Mark 4 verse 22 approach says that what's hidden will come to the light, to ensure that our actions are accountable and initiatives take flight. We must continue to act within an investigative role to properly discern and assess what we learn, and thereafter allow judgment and justice to come forth and dictate who should burn. In this capacity-building initiative, will continue to do greater deeds than 1. Allowing Iran within it to light a match and set off a nuclear scratch. 2. Sending 160,000 combat troops back to recover the family life that they so proudly discovered. 3. Building bridges of communication to heal an America-Cuba relation. And 4. Attracting corporations, citizens, and their countries as world developers for the development of excitement and signing a climate change agreement.
If today's world and events sometimes leave you feeling sad, afraid, uncertain, or angry, then reach out for comfort.